hit some anytime goal scorers as well as safe shots on goal for some of these goalies. Give me both teams to score in the first period. That's coming in at plus 185 compared to the over 1.5 that is at minus 120. Okay, you guys ready? Let's make some freaking money. It's time for Bucket with Jo. Good morning, everyone, and happy Monday. It's time for Bucket with Jo over here on SportsGrid TV, on X, as well as on YouTube. I hope everyone had a fantastic weekend. We saw some great games over the weekend. We saw the ones not so great, but we got 2 games on deck today. So we're looking for a bounce back out of the Washington Capitals in today's matchup. And the Edmonton Oilers will be looking for revenge out here after the Vegas Golden Knights were able to get a win with 3 seconds left on the clock in that last game. So we're going to break all of these games down. Yesterday, we did see the Florida Panthers be able to get the win over the Toronto Maple Leafs. That was a 2-0 win. We saw that lower scoring defensive battle out of the Florida Panthers, and it's going to be war for the next game. I can tell you that, because you saw Matthew Tkachuk telling William Nylander that he's going to be after him as that clock was ticking down in that last game, because we saw dirty hits out there on the ice to finish that. And Matthew Tkachuk is absolutely going to be after William Nylander. A little bit of head games there as well. Nyes coming in saying, what about me? Nyes is going to go after Tkachuk. So it's going to be very interesting to see that next game that will play out tomorrow. And then Dallas getting the big 5-2 win over the Winnipeg Jets. Now everyone talking about how this is, Connor Hellebuck out there on the road, but really momentum shifted when they were given that goal, that kicking motion into the net. Then the puck did hit Hellebuck, and we did see the motion of his stick. It ended up looking more like Hellebuck put the goal in the back of his net. But rules are rules, and I really think that kicking motion for that, it shifted momentum for these players, and they came unhinged. They just lost control of their emotions out there, and they fell apart. So 3 goals for the Dallas Stars to win that in that third period, taking the 5-2 win and up 2-1 in that series. So really interesting games yesterday. I do think bad calls out there on both sides of the ice. Toronto couldn't stay out of the penalty box either. So looking at today's matchups, let's break these down. Both of these teams, all 4 of these teams need to stay out of the box today. Now, I do think we're kind of getting a shift in both of these series. And I know you guys hate to hear it. I was riding the over in the last game between the Capitals and the Hurricanes. We didn't get there, but we did see 4 goals out of the Carolina Hurricanes. And that's what I mean. For the Washington Capitals to be able to beat the Canes, even though the Canes can lock down defensively, we're looking at a Carolina team that can up their scoring at home. So if Washington has a fighting chance in this one, they have to be able to find the back of the net. I don't think they can beat Carolina in a low-scoring game. So if you like the Washington Capitals, I do think we can see that over come into play. And that's why I was relying on the over in the Capitals in that last game, because I did think they would get on the board. Now we saw the Carolina Hurricanes lock down in that last game, held them to 0 goals. They got the shutout win. But we're going to go over like all of the stats and things that I'm looking at that I do think this one points to Carolina giving up a couple goals in this one. Now I know we should see lockdown defensive hockey, but if the Capitals have a chance, I do think it goes over the 5.5. So that's coming in at plus 100 to the over. You've got the Capitals at plus 210, and at this point, that's a play on the number. For me, if the Capitals go up quick coming back in on the Carolina Hurricanes, we're going to get such a great number. Now, Carolina is fantastic at home. There's no denying what they're going to be able to do here on their home ice, but you also have to look at the fact that the Capitals' backs will be up against a wall. They cannot go down 3-1 in this series. So we're going to get so much out of them here in Game 4. It's a minus 260 mark for the Carolina Hurricanes. So if you like Carolina on that puck line, you got to lay the 1.5. It's coming in at plus 110. The puck line for the Washington Capitals is not great, but it's not out of a price range where I would totally be against betting it. I do think this is going to be a 1-goal game. So the plus 1.5 on the Capitals going into this game, minus 134. Something you could look at if you do think Carolina is going to score first is then looking at the Washington Capitals plus 1.5 at that point. because that minus 134 will become like a plus 150, plus 180 kind of mark if Carolina goes up first. And we know Carolina has every ability to go up first in this series. So those are the odds. Let's look at some things in this series that really point me in one way or another for these teams. Now, Logan Thompson has been solid between the pipes for the Capitals. He needs that bounce back after allowing those goals in that last game. Frederik Andersen, solid on the other side as well. Looking at game 3 and how that one did break down, again, Carolina was able to take a 4-0 win. The face-off, it was 50-50 on those face-offs. We saw no conversion on the power play out of the Washington Capitals, and that's something that really does shock me. 0-2 on that power play. They're physical, 43 hits, 21 shots on goal, and those block shots keep coming. So we're looking at the defense of the Washington Capitals. While they only gave up 21 shots on goal, they blocked 27. So they blocked more shots than they gave up. This team has got to be getting worn down, putting all these block shots in play, but they have to continue to play this way for them to have a fighting chance, because we can't see Logan Thompson take more shots. I swear he has to get that protection out there by the Capitals. But if he doesn't, we're going to see those goals go in for the Carolina Hurricanes. When we look at what the Canes were able to do, they converted on the power play. They went 2 of 2. So their power play came out nice and strong. It did get them 2 goals. They had 47 hits, 28 shots on goal. They blocked 13 of what we saw out of the Capitals. So they blocked 13 of the Capitals shots. And we saw a strong game. Chesnikov opened up that scoring. We got Blake for the goal. We only took him for the point in that last game, but Robinson, it was a solid game out here for the Carolina Hurricanes. Now, we didn't see Sebastian Aho score, and I do think Sebastian Aho should be able to convert in this game for the Carolina Hurricanes. I did take him for a power play point tonight because I think that power play is just clicking so nice and strong on home ice. So Sebastian Aho power play point at plus 180. I also want to look at Taylor Hall. Taylor Hall gives so much value, and I do think looking at those secondary lines out here for the Carolina Hurricanes, they've shown they have that depth and they have that resilience here at home. They have relied on their defense to get these wins, but I do think Taylor Hall for the point at plus 116 holds value. Now, when we look at the Capitals, I really need to see more out of Ovi. If the Capitals want to get this win tonight, Ovi has to come alive. We know how strong he was in the series versus Montreal. We just haven't seen that in this series here. His back's up against a wall. He knows this is game 4. He knows they can't go down 3-1, returning home to Washington for the next game. So I'm going to look at Ovi tonight. I think you can look at him both for the goal at plus 180 or the power play point at plus 210. I will put money on both of those. I expect this one to be a very fast game out there on the ice and a completely intense matchup. Look for really strong forechecks out there. Entering game 4, the Capitals have scored just 4 goals through the first 3 games of this series. Something needs to change there. Again, like I said, if the Washington Capitals are to win tonight, they can't do this in a 2-1 effort, I don't think. I do think if the Capitals win, this one goes over that total of 5.5. Now, I will look at Tom Wilson for the point. Tom Wilson coming in at minus 104 for the point tonight. We're seeing those high danger chances. He's getting them. We're also seeing that out of the full lineup here for the Washington Capitals, averaging 10 high danger chances per night. So I'm expecting a lot out of them in this matchup. I will take a chance on the Capitals straight up on the money line at plus 210. If we do see the Capitals go up quick, though, you guys, up 2-0 at any point in this game, or 1-0, and we're getting better value on the Carolina Hurricanes, I will hedge my bet. I do think this is a coin flip in Carolina. I think Washington is a better team. I really do believe the Washington Capitals have the depth. They have the better goaltender, and I do think they have the ability to pull off that upset win. We know the inconsistencies of the Carolina Hurricanes out there on the road, so I will expect the Capitals to win the next game, game 5 at home. But, you know, we've already seen the Canes pull off 1 win, and Washington, they just can't lose this one tonight. So the play is on that money for me, that great plus money. Hall, good to see you here this morning. Blue, good to see you as well. Good morning, Mo. Good morning, E. Freddie. Let's make some freaking money is right. Yeah, yesterday was a rough day out there on the ice. Hopefully, some of those player props did cash for you, though. So there was some players that did get us some money. Let's move on to the next game. The Vegas Golden Knights taking on the Edmonton Oilers. Now, I know we all want to take this one to that over, though 6.5, highly juiced at -138. There are signs that we're going to start seeing the lockdown of those goals. And I know you guys don't want to hear that. You guys want that 7-8 goal game out of these two teams, but I do expect these two teams to start locking down in this series. Now, it's a hard one to swallow, though, because Adin Hill and Stuart Skinner, we haven't seen Stuart Skinner perform his best. We know Calvin Pickard was in goal, and he was more solid, better performing than Skinner, and I don't trust Skinner. And then we look at Adin Hill. He hasn't looked like himself in the playoffs. I'm going to stay off the total of 6.5. I can't take this one to the under, even though there are signs of that defensive lockdown. We saw 4 goals in the first period in the last game. Corey Perry opened it up with 2 goals, and then we saw Vegas answer back with 2. I do think we will see the second period. We only saw 1 goal. William Karlsson of Vegas was able to score. I do think that second period really is how this game should go here. This is game 4, Edmonton holding a 2-1 lead in this series. I do think Vegas has the ability to tie up this series, but what I like best, so I'll take Vegas at plus 106, but what I like best is the overtime bet in this matchup. Taking these teams to go to overtime today is coming in, let me just pull up that number, plus 340, and I do think it's a really solid way to go. Now, I've already bet that, and I've already bet a couple other things in this matchup. Firstly, I'm going to look at Skinner. Skinner in the last game stopped 20 of 24 shots on his goal. Because I'm seeing that lockdown on the defensive side playing out in this game, I'm going to take Skinner under 22.5 shots on goal. One, I don't think Vegas is going to get as many attempts. We saw in game 2, Vegas got 32 shots on goal. And this is what I mean. We're starting to see more defensive play. In game 3, they only had 24 shots on goal. So in Edmonton, they had less shots on goal than they were able to get on their own home ice. So that makes sense for Skinner to go under 22.5, because if they're only getting, 20, between 20 and 25 shots, I'm not seeing this being a game where Skinner is making a ton of saves, even though we could still see the under hit for the game. So give me Skinner under 22.5. I do think Vegas probably gets between 20 and 24, and then I think he stays under the 22.5. So that's where I'm looking for Stuart Skinner. Now, if you want to look at Adin Hill, I don't blame you. Adin Hill hasn't been fantastic, you guys. He hasn't been the Adin Hill that I would have expected in this series. He stopped 17 of 20 shots on his goal in the last game. His prop tonight's 25.5. When we look at the Edmonton Oilers, when they were in Vegas, they had 27 or 37 shots on goal in game 2. Back at home in that last game, in game 3, they only had 20 shots on net. I don't think that they get enough shots for Adin Hill to go over 25.5 save shots on goal. So I would look at Adin Hill to the under as well. Again, I only looked at one goaltender, and I hate fading these goaltenders, but I had to go there. It's probably my favorite bet is looking at both goaltenders to the under, but Skinner was the goaltender I settled on. I will take a shot on him under the 22.5. My bias against Skinner. It is there. So if you don't want to play it, I just don't trust Skinner between the pipes. And I know a lot of you don't either. So favorite bet for the goalies is Skinner under 22.5 save shots on goal. So looking at game 3 and how that did break down, we know we saw that late goal out of Riley Smith to get the game winner, 4-3 win out of the Vegas Golden Knights, just leaving the Edmonton Oilers fans completely stunned out there. 4 goals in the first period. We saw no conversions on the power play for Vegas. It needs to change tonight. We saw Edmonton convert on one of their 2 chances. So not a lot of penalties thrown out in this game. It seemed like a lot more. That is for sure. Those hard hits were coming in that matchup. 42 hits we saw Vegas lay on Edmonton. Edmonton returned 33. And Vegas had 24 shots on goal while Edmonton had 20. Corey Perry, definitely a stud of that game. He opened up the scoring in the first period with 2 goals. He had the first and the second goal. Perry, at 39, became the third oldest player to score 2 goals in a period in the postseason. So third oldest at 39 to be able to do that. Quite a feat for Corey Perry out there, especially with how quiet he had been over the regular season and at stages during last year. So Connor McDavid got a goal in that last game as well. In the third period, he also had an assist on Corey Perry's first goal. The defensive lapses and the goaltending issues just came to life for Edmonton in that last game. With them not being able to close out that third period when they had tied it up, to take that to overtime was just shocking that they weren't able to do it. And I tip my hat to the Vegas Golden Knights for being able to do so. I went into the last game thinking Edmonton would take a complete stranglehold on the series, winning that third game, pushing for the fourth game sweep. So I was shocked by Vegas. They proved to show their resilience and their depth and their fight to come back in that last game. So I really liked what I saw out of the Vegas Golden Knights. Got that first goal. A lot of people thought he should have been suspended after that hit in Vegas, but he came out. He got that first goal. We saw Riley Smith with a goal in the first as well. And then that third period game winner. William Karlsson got the goal, and William Karlsson actually got an assist as well. So if you looked at him for 2+ points, man, you would have been rolling in the cash. I believe his anytime goal was like plus 360. So for 2+ points, you're probably looking at like plus 800 for William Karlsson. The depth is there. So he probably should have another solid game. You're still getting plus money for his points today. We've got a really balanced attack here out of the Vegas Golden Knights. They're playing a very physical game as well, looking to wear down. I don't think we see the 4 goals in the first period. I'm going to stay off of the first period bets. I'm not taking the over 1.5. I'm not taking both teams to score. Even though we could see it play out that way, I really do think signs are starting to point to these defenses locking down. I won't take the under, though, because we know both of these teams have that offensive firepower, and I don't trust goaltending. So I can't do anything but take this one for Vegas to get the win, tie up this series. The road team has won the first 3. That really doesn't matter much to me here, but I do think Vegas will show that fight and tie this one up. A plus 106 worth a shot here. We've seen the team that scores first not take the win in this series with these teams fighting back. This is a perfect opportunity for hedging your bet. So if you like a team going in, especially if it's the underdog, if the underdog scores first coming back in on the Edmonton Oilers when you're getting a better number is a great way. Or just if you like Edmonton, if Vegas scores first coming back in on Edmonton at that point, because right now they're just too juicy for me to touch. I do think Skinner will come to haunt them in this game, but I do think this is an overtime one. I think the offense will give him the life because of the goals, but then we go to overtime, and which goaltender am I going to trust more in overtime? And that's why I'm riding with Vegas. Trust Aiden Hill more, even though he hasn't been stellar between the pipes in the postseason either. I just haven't loved what I've seen out of both of them. They've been solid, but not stellar. When we're looking at a couple of players, that overtime number is coming in at plus 340, just to note for you guys. Evan Bouchard, 4 points in this series in 3 games. God, he's been playing lights out, showing the depth here of the Edmonton Oilers, really leading charge when he's out there on the ice. I'll look at Evan Bouchard for the goal. Great value on Evan Bouchard coming in at plus 360. Leon Draisaitl, his anytime goal, it's plus 110. You can hit on it if you want. We know Leon Draisaitl's been a stud out here for Edmonton. I just can't take a goal scorer at plus 110. Connor McDavid, even looking like I think he can get the assist tonight. 2+ assists, those only plus 150. Not enough value for me. And then Corey Perry, if you think he can roll with the momentum of the last game, Corey Perry's plus 275 for his goal. I'll just look at Evan Bouchard at plus 360, but those are definitely the guys to know. You look at Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, and Evan Bouchard, they're really rolling out there, but the depth is coming to play for the Edmonton Oilers. So I like all 3 of those guys, and I will take Evan Bouchard for the goal, but the depth scoring, you're going to get more value. You're going to get numbers like Evan Bouchard and Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. You just have to pay too much. So looking at Zach Hyman, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, and Evander Kane, definitely worth looking at for their points tonight if you like Edmonton. For Vegas, I will look at Thomas Hertl for the point. I do think, so Mark Stone, we're seeing props out for him. He probably won't be at 100%. I'm not exactly sure what happened. They're saying upper body. He did leave the ice in the last game. Mark Stone will play through brutal injuries out there. It looked like a bad fall. It looked like skate was involved. Not really sure. We didn't see any blood out there on the ice. So not exactly sure what's happening with Mark Stone. I don't think he's going to be at 100%. I would be cautious with his props tonight, even though we know he can come out nice and strong. We need more out of Jack Eichel from the Vegas Golden Knights. So Jack Eichel for the anytime goal. He has to come through for this team today. He can't allow his team returning back to Vegas, down 3-1 in this series. So Jack Eichel plus 180 for the goal, and then Thomas Hertl. I do think we get that step up out of him. I've really liked what we've seen out of Thomas Hertl. If you want to look at him for the goal, you're going to get like plus 370-ish. Thomas Hertl for the point, though, is plus 102. I won't be greedy. I'll just take Thomas Hertl for the point in this game. So the player props are Evan Bouchard of the Edmonton Oilers for the goal at plus 360, Thomas Hertl for the point for Vegas at plus 102, and Jack Eichel for the goal at plus 180. I know it's not as much plus money as we'd like to see out of Jack Eichel, but I still think he steps up. Now, 2+ points for Jack Eichel. You're still not getting a great number, and that's why I didn't go with the 2+ points. I do think the goal should be loading. And then I will fade Skinner under 22.5 safe shots on goal. Vegas for the win and the overtime bet. So it should be quite the game. Kev, good morning. Let's make some freaking money. Yeah, Granlund was able to get us those 2+ points yesterday. It was great to see. Take the over in both matches, parlay that action. Joe, I'm with you. I really do think we are going to see the Washington Capitals be able to put those goals out there. I'm kind of nervous, though, about Edmonton, and that's my problem with taking that one. If it goes to overtime, 100%. That's why I'm going to go with the overtime bet rather than laying the juice on the over 6.5, because that's coming in at minus 132. I think if this goes over the total, it is because of overtime. So 3-3 going into OT puts us at 7. If you're getting a flat 7 on your book, be very cautious, because I do think that push could come into play with that total. But I'll take the overtime bet. We will look at those players for their points tonight as well. Top 4 favorite players, Mo. Let's get into the recap. Then we will do my top 4 favorite players. I know it's been a long-winded show, you guys. Let's jump into that recap. The Washington Capitals versus the Carolina Hurricanes. I'm going to take a shot on the Washington Capitals on the money line at plus 210. If you want to lay the puck line, laying 1.5, that's or plus 1.5, that's coming in at minus 134. I think this is a 1-goal game, and in a 1-goal game, you're giving me great value on the dog here. I do think the Washington Capitals will be able to score in this one. Unable to score in that last, look for that bounce back now, because I think the Caps are going to score in the and the Canes are so strong offensively on their home ice, even though they're led by that defense. I do think this one trends towards that over a 5.5. That's coming in at plus 100. I'll look for Ovi for the anytime goal at plus 180, the power play point at plus 210. Tom Wilson for the point for the Capitals at minus 104. I'll then look at Sebastian Aho for the power play point at plus 180 and Taylor Hall for the point at plus 116 from the Carolina Hurricanes. The Vegas Golden Knights and the Edmonton Oilers. Give me Vegas going into this one at plus 106. Give me the overtime bet at plus 340. I will fade Skinner under 22.5 safe shots on goal at minus 110. I'll then look at Evan Bouchard of the Edmonton Oilers for the goal at plus 360. Give me Thomas Hertl, the Vegas Golden Knights, for that point tonight at plus 102, and Jack Eichel for the goal at plus 180. When we're looking at my favorite players for their points, goals tonight, and where I'm going to go, taking out Skinner because that goalie prop is my favorite prop of the day, under 22.5 safe shots on goal. My very favorite after Skinner is looking at Ovechkin. Ovechkin needs to come alive in this series for the Washington Capitals. I know he's not that kind of player out there that just dominates on the ice in the way that he's going to, be that guy that's really shooting the puck a ton. He's going to stand. We know exactly where he stands. If they can get him the puck, he's going to get that one-timer, and it's just going to come flying here in this game on Frederik Andersen. And I think he's able to do that. I also think that power play opportunity and what he does on the power play, and especially with them not being able to convert on that power play, Ovi is just an absolute stud. I do look for him to break away on the power play, and look for him on the shorty too, you guys. Ovechkin on the shorty, there's something different about how he plays in those situations, that burst of energy that he gives. So the power play point at plus 210 for Ovechkin, the goal at plus 180 are my second favorite of the player props. When I look at my third favorite, it's got to be Evan Bouchard here of the Edmonton Oilers for the goal at plus 360. And then I will look at Taylor Hall of the Carolina Hurricanes for my third favorite at plus 116 for his point tonight, and then Thomas Hertl of the Vegas Golden Knights at plus 102. But I do think Jack Eichel has to get in this game for Vegas as well. So let's go. Let's make some freaking money. Glad the Ripper out there. You guys are absolutely the best. I appreciate each and every one of you for joining me here on the daily. do me a solid, hit that like, hit that retweet, and hit that subscribe button over on YouTube. If you guys want this show to go live every day of the regular season and the playoffs next season, it is vital for you guys to help me share it and get the word out about this show over, especially on X. So you guys are the best. Mo, I appreciate you so very much. Don't forget, if you are watching on X, Jo, I appreciate you too so very much for all that you do as well. So if you guys are watching on X, remember you can jump into the live chat here as well. So I'm sometimes don't get enough messages from you guys on X. So just over here on YouTube, but I appreciate each and every one of you. Let's make some freaking money. Stay tuned for my Cup of Joe. I will be on Sports Rage with Gabe Morency and Cam Struett later tonight. So that is always fun. We will be talking about these games out there on the ice as well as tomorrow's matchup. So make sure you stay tuned for that. That's normally right around 10:14 Eastern all the way up to 11 o'clock. I will normally be on with Gabe. So look for me around that time again tonight. But you guys, appreciate each and every single one of you. I know you need baseball when hockey is over. Glad the Ripper. We're definitely going to work out. I can't even talk today. We will work out what we're going to do with baseball as soon as hockey is finished. I got a couple ideas in mind, so definitely stay tuned for that. I want to make sure on the days that I am locked in my office here because of my shows on the grid that we are doing that live interactive show. So we will plan for that. I'm thinking a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, a style of show, just leaving Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday out of things. So let me know what you guys would like to see for baseball. I definitely want to do a baseball show with you guys. We're just going to fade the Toronto Blue Jays. Who thought they would have got that win yesterday? And the Colorado Rockies, you guys, man, Colorado beating the Padres. What the heck happened out there on the diamonds yesterday for the Padres? That was absolutely mind-blowing that happened. I am still shaking my head over that matchup. And Scott Wetzel had said it right before the game. He's like, yeah, you watch the Rockies get this win, because everyone was looking for the Padres to get things done with Nick Pivetta. Nick Pivetta fell flat on his face. So the Rockies as a plus like 300 underdog, plus 270, they won. Like, mind-blowing. Absolutely, for sure. So you guys, all the best in all of your bets today. Again, Cup of Joe is loading. We'll talk some NBA. I tell you, I'm done with OKC. I know they still won yesterday, but man, that team absolutely let me down. SGA finally hit 25 points, but he had 15 points. Like, I could go on. I think we should have a daily bitch fest, to be honest with you. Like the daily bitch of bets, it just did not go as planned. That would be a lot of fun, because I tell you, you always remember those losses, those wins. Yeah, you remember, but those losses on the daily where it's just players just didn't show up as you expected, man, those are the ones that absolutely hurt. Even once a week. Okay, we'll do something. Yeah, I'm thinking definitely Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Those 4 days, that is where I am thinking. So you guys, the rest of you, let me know what you would like to see as well. You know I love talking with you on the daily, so it's weird when I don't. You guys, all the best in all your bets. Let's make some freaking money. I'll be back here tomorrow, noon Eastern, here on the grid. We've got the Winnipeg Jets and the Dallas Stars and the Florida Panthers and the Toronto Maple Leafs on Wednesday. So one game tomorrow, one game on Wednesday. Man, I can't believe we have to wait till Wednesday for that Leafs and Florida game. That's kind of disappointing. You guys are the best. We'll see you tomorrow. Hit some anytime goal scorers as well as safe shots on goal for some of these goalies.